Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time joining me, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for participating in this energetic exchange. My intention is very simple. It's to help you make sense of this quote unquote spiritual journey, or the journey that you are on right now. And I will do this hopefully with the help of my guidance that comes through as a higher frequency, which means this guidance sees things from a much higher perspective than we do. And because of that, they can share with us certain perspectives that will help us and enable us to make better choices and better decisions for ourselves, and ultimately better decisions and choices for our planet. And so if you are coming back, thank you so much for being here as well. If you like what you hear, please press the like button, the subscribe button, and the little bell notification button. It tells you when new content is uploaded. Going back to journey, you being on a spiritual journey. We're all on a spiritual journey. We are embodied spirit. So whether you call this process a spiritual journey or you call it whatever you want, you are on a spiritual journey. And the spiritual journey is one of many paths, but ultimately there is one goal. There's one goal at the end, if you will. And that goal is to know yourself. To know yourself, to truly know yourself through embodiment. So you and I are on this earth in order to know ourselves, and we do that through our experiences. And every single individual is on his and her own path, at least human beings. I don't feel animals have the same. Maybe they do. I don't know. I'm primarily talking about the human condition. So how do we know ourselves? Well, we can only know ourselves through our experiences. We don't know ourselves any other way. And in order to know ourselves, we have to have certain experiences. So we are amidst a lot of different experiences as human beings. But remember, goal is always one, to know yourself. So the question then becomes, how do we know ourselves through our experiences? But more than that, what are we learning from our experiences? What is our experience showing us in terms of who we are being? And this is what humanity is looking at right now as a whole. You and I, which are part of humanity, are looking at ourselves through different lenses. We're beginning to look at ourselves through different lenses. What does that mean? Our perceptions are changing. To know yourself from a certain perspective, you need to have certain perspectives, which means we have to be wearing certain lenses to see life through. And we are in a process whereby these quote-unquote lenses or perspectives that we are used to seeing life through are changing. And there's many reasons for that, but one of the more primary reasons is that planet Earth is ascending. And we are part of planet Earth. She's our host. As a result of her ascending, we have no choice but to ascend. Now, the words have no choice. It's depends how you look at it. Those who are choosing not to experience ascension by being on planet Earth are no longer on planet Earth. So if you are here hearing this, you are on planet Earth, you are ascending, and yes, that is your choice. As a soul, that is your choice. And then I'm hearing someone in my mind say, I didn't choose this. Well, Remember the goal. The goal is to know yourself. And you and I are choosing to know ourselves through certain experiences. We are choosing to know ourselves through the perspectives of black and white or shadows. Not only, but shadow is a big part. So we need to be able to look at our shadows. And shadows is what is being amplified right now. Things we haven't seen before, things we didn't want to see, things we were hiding from, things we are not used to seeing because it was inconvenient. So in today's transmission, I have 3 piles, and all these piles are to talk about how your perspectives are changing. Okay? So each pile represents a different message, whatever you are drawn to. Allow your intuition to guide you. But before I go through the cards, through the piles, one of the things that's very prevalent right now is the idea of loss of identity. We as humanity are beginning to look at our ideas of our identity, and more people are beginning to realize that they don't have to be defined by their identity. We identify with our identity. Okay? And that's a very complex subject, and it can be perplexing at times. How do you not identify as your identity? You simply realize that you are not your identity. You are experiencing life from a perspective of an identity, but you are not that. You are more than your identity. So if we are not our identity, then the question becomes, who are we? If you disassociate for a moment from your entire identity, it's pretty scary because you will not know who you are. And I feel that's what's happening more and more these days to people. And people are beginning to ask the question, who am I? And then shortly after, it becomes apparent that who you are is a choice. Well, what do you mean it's a choice? I am in this body. I don't have a choice. But you have a choice how you move through life and how you choose to experience your experience. That is your choice. And everyone has this within themselves. Everyone has this within their knowing. But through growing up in social conditioning, we forget that that's a fact. We don't even think about it. So we're beginning to realize that how we live our life is really our choice. Now, my logical brain goes, but. There's many buts. But there's this other part of me that says life is a choice. Every moment of every day we make choices. Yes, sometimes we make choices we don't like, but it's still a choice. Now, for those of you who might be thinking, well, what about someone who is stricken by a horrible experience? I would say that is their experience, and this not be a really good time in trying to educate them how they have a choice how to experience that experience. They're not in a space for that. Okay? But you are likely not someone in this situation. Not everybody on this planet Earth is choosing to go through conscious ascension. Okay? In other words, there will be many individuals out there who will not know that beyond our identity, there is a bigger being. Most people still identify as their humanness. So some people are meant to have a very 3D human experience. It is not the time to tell them that, oh, you have a choice how you experience this pain. No, that would be cruel. That would be mean. In those situations, you give these people what they need: compassion and love, care and understanding. Okay? But just because that person is not in that space doesn't mean, from a much higher perspective, that they are not exercising that choice. But to them, it's not a choice. It doesn't seem like a choice. It may not seem like a choice to most people, but from a much higher perspective, it is a choice. It's a very hard concept to grasp. But putting that aside, if you are here listening to this, you are not likely somewhere in some situation where you are basically fending for your life. And I am here saying to you, oh, you have a choice how to experience that. No, if I said that to you and you were suffering like that, I would say, slap me on the face, because I should not be saying this to you. Okay, so just so we have that understanding. Okay, going back to piles. Let's see what you're being drawn to. And let's see what your experience is about to be like based on these messages. So pile number 1. When I was shuffling the cards, what I heard and what I saw was your emotional stability and outlook on your future is changing. So these messages are to showcase how your perspectives are changing. So pile number 1, your emotional stability and outlook on your future is changing. You are looking now more towards the future than constantly looking back. You're shifting perspectives. Not only are you shifting perspectives in terms of what you look at, but also how you see it. Because you can be looking at something, and somebody else may be looking at the same thing, but you may be seeing completely different things. Okay? So your entire outlook on life is changing right now. It has a huge emotional component with it. What do I mean by that? It's like you're overturning all emotions right now. You're going through a bit of a turmoil. Okay? And that is needed in order for you to arrive at this new level where you can move forward, no longer facing your past. So pile number 1, you are likely in a space of a lot of emotional releasing right now. Okay? And you might be experiencing a little bit of resistance. If that's the case, just know that change can be and often is difficult because it messes with our stability. It messes with our permanency. Okay? But remember, the world is changing. Planet Earth is shifting gears. Where she was and where she will be is now in progress. Planet Earth is not going to remain where planet Earth was for a very long time. She's moving, she's shifting. And you being part of it, us being part of it, are shifting with her. So change is absolutely inevitable. Okay? And as you go through your own process of ascension, you one moment you may feel free as a bird, the next moment you will feel like a caged animal. So there is polarities. You are likely to experience a lot of polarities in your life, which, by the way, we all are. Okay? So the first card represents good intentions. The way you look at helping others and your involvement with others is changing. Let me get a little bit more clarity on that. You are not used to being yourself with other people. Self-conscious, afraid of judgment, afraid of being ridiculed. There's many reasons why you would do that. But this dictates a certain comfort, or I should say discomfort with yourself. You are looking at these discomforts and you are asking yourself the question, why am I at discomfort with this? Because if you are at discomfort with yourself, you're not at ease. And if you're not at ease, you're not going to show up at ease. So you're looking at your own inner discomforts. Where am I not comfortable showing of myself to others? Where am I not comfortable with respect to being seen? I heard someone say, I'm afraid I'm going to be judged for being too much. Okay, that has a story. If you are one of those individuals that is afraid of being judged for being too much, oh my God, you're too full of yourself, you're too much. That has a story. That story has an origin. Your job right now is to heal the story from its origin. Okay? In simpler terms, you are here, you are in a position to realize certain things within yourself that will allow you to unhook from your karmic lessons. In other words, you're no longer going to repeat a pattern the same way again. Okay? And remember, we are looking at our experiences in order to gain wisdom and ask the question, okay, what am I learning from this? And how can I avoid doing that in the future? Okay? We can only do that by reflecting back. So pile number one, you're likely into a lot of self-reflection these days. Okay? Masculine principle. So the whole world, for the most part, on average, is masculine energy dominated. Our feminine has been suppressed, okay, for various reasons. Okay, what we're seeing right now is almost war, almost like a war between feminine and masculine. The feminine and the masculine are fighting. They're fighting. They're fierce about defining the role. Why is it so important to be so defined in our role? Why do we need to identify as anything? Okay. So, pile number one, would you identify yourself as more of a masculine energy or feminine energy? Or would you say you're a little bit of both? Chances are you're a lot more in your masculine than you are in your feminine. Okay, and that's because feminine has been suppressed. Okay. The feminine is on the rise right now, meaning the feminine energy is coming stronger and stronger. And I believe that's why we're having all these different weird conversations in the world about men, woman, who's a woman. And it's like this, it's very territorial. Okay. And that is creating a bit of a war because it's who's going to win. But it's not about winning or losing. It's about collaboration. How can we be both? So the question for you, pal number one, is how can you embody both the masculine and the feminine? Okay? And find your own comfort zone. When you're not too much of one or the other. You're your perfect blend. 60-40, 30-70, 50, whatever you want. As long as one doesn't over-dominate the other, because then you become very unbalanced. So likely pile number one, you're a lot in your head. And that's a very masculine energy. Okay? Head is when we try to solve the problem. Okay? Solving is about doing. Solving is about conflict. I mean, let's face it, when there is no conflict, there is nothing to solve. So that's a very masculine energy. The feminine energy is all about how can we resolve this conflict? How can we just be? Okay? So it's a very different feeling. And the feminine energy is more relaxed. Okay. So pile number one, chances are you're not feeling very relaxed right now, and you have your reasons. I mean, just look at the world. We have our reasons. But the point I'm trying to make is this, because this is all about how your perspectives are changing. Notice how you use your own energy every day. Is it predominantly masculine? Is it predominantly feminine? Or does it feel like a healthy blend of both? I'll tell you one way to know if you are too much into your masculine: when you're always in your head. Okay? That's a lot. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is about solving. Okay? Again, if we are focusing on solving, then we are focusing on the problem. So the masculine is focused on problem solving. That makes sense. Okay. Which means if that's where we live, then we must have a lot of problems to solve. But a lot of problems are self-created, unfortunately. Okay. We create our own problems. There's enough problems in the world, we create our own problems. Everyone does. You're not exception. I'm not exception. I'm not an exception. We create conflict, okay? So a message for you is, ask yourself this question today or tomorrow. What am I at odds with within myself? And why am I at odds with it? Because when you are at odds with yourself, there is no peace. If there is no peace, you will be in your head to try to figure out how to solve this peace. Okay? How to solve it. How to solve that you not having peace. How do I solve it? There's nothing to solve. Oftentimes there's nothing to solve. It's about realizing that whatever you're conflicted about is really a level of understanding. The moment you shift your understanding about the part that you are conflicted with is the moment where you and the conflict are no longer a conflict. You're one and the same. This is talking about merging polarities. Here and now. Well, that is one way to not be in your head as much, is to be in the moment. Is to embody your everyday moment from the perspective of now moment. Now, that is an extraordinarily difficult thing to do for most human beings, including myself. But that is where at least you, pile number one, are heading, okay? Living more in the moment, not so much in the past and not too much in the future, but being more in the moment. And also realizing that when we are, that it is, not only is it okay to be in the moment, because we're not used to just being in the moment. Oftentimes, if growing up, I used to hear that if you live just in the moment, you're just wasting time. You're not being productive. You're not responsible. The biggest responsibilities you have to yourself. Okay? If we are busy running around trying to do things because society tells us we need to do this or that in order to be this or that, then there's no living in the moment, because we're always trying. There's nothing to try, there's nowhere to be. All you ever have to do is be you. All of you, through acceptance of you. You accepting you. That means you accepting the parts of you that feel conflicted or you feel conflicted about. It's about accepting your oddness. Okay. Last but not least, drive, but it's in reverse. I saw this card a few videos ago. I feel like you're very conflicted about yourself right now, and you're not focused on what's to come. It's like you're all over the place. Okay. Remember, if that's the case, you're all over the place because your identity is changing. And you very well might be asking the question, who am I right now? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I supposed to be? Try not to use the word supposed to, because when we say, who am I supposed to be, it implies that something out there, outside of us, some other authority, is impressing upon us what we should be or shouldn't be. Okay? Remember, who you are is a choice. Now, again, if you're born in a human body, but you choose to identify yourself as a cat, do you have a choice? Sure, you're just not going to be taken seriously. That's all. But nobody's preventing you from it, right? Each choice has a consequence. So if you make a choice to identify as a cat, well, you're going to live out the consequences of that. Doesn't mean it's bad, but chances are you wouldn't have too many friends. Let's put it that way. I'm being funny. So that's what I have for you, pile number 1. All right, pile 2, let's see what we have for you in terms of how is your perspective changing and on what? We have beyond wisdom. It did show up to me in reverse, but that's just telling me that you're reaching a new level of awareness. And the type of awareness I am talking about is one where you are beginning to realize that you were living in some sort of a conformity, and you are beginning to see this conformity. You're beginning to be aware of this conformity, and this realization hits you really hard because you are used to identifying yourself through that conformity. I don't even know. I'm just channeling. My brain is going. Bleh. I'm just going to keep going. I'm not logically supposed to bastardize it right now. So conformity is really when we conform to something. Okay? And then once we conform to something, it just becomes our norm. Once it's the norm, we don't think about it. When we conform to something, that something gives us structure, it gives us form. Okay? You are beginning to realize, pile number 2, that you exist beyond that form. You exist beyond that form. That's the best way that I can say it. And it's a big ass realization, because on one hand it's very freeing, but on the other hand it's also terrifying at the same time. Why is it terrifying? Because you don't know yourself yet outside this conformity. So you are in a process of dictating your new identity almost, that is not tied to the conformity that you are used to. Okay? I'm hoping this is translating in a way that makes sense to you guys. You are desiring and professing to yourself mostly, but also to the universe, but to yourself, I will never do this again. I will never do this again. I will never do this again. You're choosing to no longer live through conformity. Conformity have a lot to do with belief systems. You are no longer denying yourself of being who you truly are versus what you were told you're supposed to be. Remember, you're not supposed to be anything. You're supposed to be you. So you're asking the question, who am I without my beliefs? It is a very profound experience, especially when it hits you in the body and it's not just a concept. When you have a body realization, it's embodied, it's like knowing that you are more than your conformity, something breaks. And what breaks is the bond your ego has on you, or you having the bond with the ego. In other words, your entire existence begins to change because you are reframing or reforming how you identify yourself as an identity. Okay? You are also confirming to yourself that you're no longer going to be like somebody else. I'm done trying. I'm done trying. I'm supposed to be this, I'm supposed to be this, I'm supposed to be that, I'm going to try this. I'm done trying. I'm not supposed to be anything or anyone other than myself. Who am I? So pile number 2, who are you? One of the first things that usually comes is, well, I'm a doctor, I am a publicist, I'm a writer, I am... No, that's not who you are. That's what you are expressing in this particular form, but that's not who you are. Beyond that, who are you? Beyond your hair, your body, your physicality, your personality, who are you, or what are you? Do you even know? Your pure consciousness with no edges. And that is death to the ego, because ego is all about identifying. Okay? So it's not that you're losing your personality or you're losing your identity altogether, because you're still a human being, but you are relinquishing the limitations your personality has on you, or your identity has on you. I feel like I want to go a little bit further with this. It's like you're dissociating yourself from your identity, and by realizing I am more than my identity. And you are also beginning to realize that you are choosing your identity. You have not been, it hasn't been a conscious choice, but you're becoming to aware that you are choosing to have an identity, a certain identity. In other words, you can choose how you identify yourself. Again, if you're born as a human, you could identify yourself as a cat, but that's not going to make you a cat. Okay? So let's just have that out there, just in case. Emotionally speaking, you're probably going through a lot right now because you're going through a big change. This level of awareness does a number on somebody. The profound realization that you are not your identity has a profound effect on you as a human being. It rips through your foundation. It rips through your current stability. Because when you realize that you are not the person you thought you were, and all this time you are so much more, but you didn't see it, and now that you see it, it can become a little bit overwhelming. Okay? When we expand our awareness, often our emotions rise, our emotions come up to the top. So you might be experiencing a lot of emotional ups and downs. It's almost like it's because those emotions want to free themselves. You want to free yourself from all of these emotions that are coming up right now. And the best way to free ourselves from an emotion is not bad, by the way, but the best way to free ourselves from a feeling, from an emotion, or from a feeling that we are holding on to, is to allow that feeling, that emotion to move through us as an energy. So there's a lot moving through you, pile number 2. A lot right now. I am seeing the month of October. I don't know how that's important, but it has an exclamation mark. October 10, yes, but it's October. So either last October, it marks some sort of an ending and a beginning, or this October, whenever you hear this upcoming October, it may mark an ending and a new beginning. You are in a process of change. There's no two ways about it. In fact, having this realization means profound change, because you can never go back to what once was. Okay? It's very profound. You are healing. Yes. You're healing. In fact, when we have these realizations that we are more than a human body, that is extraordinarily healing to our bodies. Why is that? Because in essence, when we have this realization of being bigger than our humanness, we allow more frequency to move through our beingness, which is very healing to the body. So you, pile 2, might be going through a process where there's a lot of energy moving through you, and it is very healing, but what it also means, it brings up the certain things to the surface for you to look at. Okay? Notice these 2 little, I believe they're little fairies, or little angels. They are connected. They are both looking up as if to communicate that they're having communication with some higher source. And they're both, I'm hearing the words, they're looking for resolutions. You are likely dealing with someone that either helps you resolve something, or you are looking at resolution with someone. There's a very healing component here, and I just keep hearing the word togetherness. Okay, perhaps you are at odds with your sister, perhaps you are at odds with a member of your family, but this is more in the past. Although, because it's coming up as a healing, your past will often come up for you to look at if you are holding on to past. So there is likely an opportunity now, or will present itself shortly, where a healing can take place, but you have to be able to acknowledge that there is in fact something to be healed. Okay? If you don't acknowledge that there is something to be healed, then if you don't acknowledge that your arm hurts, then you're not going to do anything about it. Although trying to ignore your arm hurting, can you really ignore it? You can pretend it's not there, but sometimes it's pretty hard. You can numb it, yes. Whatever you do right now, please do not numb your feelings and emotions. Please, please, please. They're asking me to say it that way. Please don't numb yourself. Whether it's through food, addiction, drugs, alcohol, shopping, whatever, gambling, whatever it is, please do not numb your feelings. It's really important. Okay. You want to allow your feelings to move through you as best as you can. And sometimes when energy moves through us, when healing happens, there's going to be some tears. Maybe you're going to shed some tears. You shedding tears doesn't mean anything is wrong. Shedding tears is releasing. So pile number 2, you are likely in a process of a lot of releasing. Milk and honey is all about abundance. So you are likely releasing some conformity of lack. Okay? You see, there is milk and honey, and what else is there? There's an elephant swimming in the pool of milk. Opulence, abundance, gratitude. That's where you want to be. This is what you want to see your life as. Plenty, full, abundant. But you are moving from lack. Okay? And when we realize that pretty much anything is possible, within limits, yes, if you're a human, don't jump off the 4th story building pretending you have wings and you can fly. Let's just so we have that understanding. Okay? I just don't want people accusing you of being an idiot. Anyway, when you begin to see that you can do pretty much anything and how powerful your mind is, and when you begin to see the doctrines that you have been accustomed to, and then you realize how these doctrines have been your conformity all along, and because of that conformity, that's how you structured your life. When you realize that there is so much more for you possible, it's a big deal. Because for one, you're realizing, oh, wait a minute, I can create a completely different life for myself. Yes. Do you want to? Yes. I can create a life that's different. Yes. Oh my God, I can create a life that's abundant. Yes. What else have you got for me? What do you want? You become less attached to the strict understanding through ego and lack, and you become more an embodiment of everything is possible. Okay? As you know, you heal yourself. You can heal yourself. This has been demonstrated on many occasions, including in our health, where placebos create massive spike of healing, even though it's a sugar pill. That's how powerful you are. Okay? It is not a small thing. And that's going to bring some memories back. It's going to take you back to a place where you remember somewhere when you were young, where anything was possible. And when you have that memory, when you remember going back in time where you thought, oh my God, everything is possible, very, very likely you'll end up somewhere in a space where you were a young child, without all the doctrines, without all the mental manipulation, without all the confinements we try to fit ourselves to in order to be loved, to belong. We're in this space of awe and wonder. Pile number 2, you are returning to that space once again. And this is telling me you are doing a lot of inner child healing, a lot of inner child work. And if it's not something that you are into, it would probably be a really good idea for you to look at some inner child work. I work predominantly with shadow, inner child, and regression. Those are my tools, and they're and energy, and they're extremely effective. Extremely effective. Okay. Self-nurture is also indicated, primarily with regards to you asking the question, how do I take care of myself? How do I best take care of me? How do I take care of me? What do I want for me? What does life have for me? Pretty much anything you want, within limits. You're not going to grow wings. It's not part of being a human. Maybe one day. Not in this incarnation. Okay, I'm being funny. So it looks like for you, pile number 2, there's a whole new level of understanding moving through you that's going to allow you to heal some pretty dormant things. What do I mean by that? When something is dormant, it means that it's just sitting there, dormant. It's dormant. It's just like it's dormant. You are becoming aware of that dormant, and you're bringing it up to surface in order so that you can realize how that is part of how you create. Let me give you an example. A very basic example. Let's say, I'm going to give myself as an example. That's the easiest. Let's say I grew up in an environment where I was taught from a very young age to not believe anything I felt emotionally or seen. Whatever I was experiencing, it was marked as not valid. So I grew up with the understanding that whatever I perceive is not real, it's not valid. Okay. So that went into the bank memory, my bank memory. And I had this lens through which I was seeing the world that said to me, whatever you're seeing, that's not real. So it messed with my trust. It messed in trust in myself and trust in what I was experiencing. That trust, that level of trust, has inflicted me throughout my entire life because it made me doubt me. It made me doubt what I do. It made me doubt what I perceive. It made me doubt where I stand. Because if you don't trust you, you don't know where you stand. Then you rely on the environment to tell you where you stand. So most of my life, I relied on outside environment to tell me where I stand. Not a great place to be. Okay. Now, did I think about it every day? No, it was just part of my experience. And only through the realization that I had this lens, and by clearing some of the wounding around this understanding, was I able to start slowly but surely to learn to trust myself, to learn what I receive. Now, think how ironic is this? I perceive information from something beyond this 3D experience or this 3D construct. And I have no choice. Well, sorry, I have a choice. I either trust it or I deny it. If I couldn't trust what I was receiving, even though I can't touch it, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So, long story short, that belief system has affected me as a channel. Now, I want to be the best channel I can possibly be. I want to be the clearest channel. Clear. Source. Whoop. Connected. No doubt. So it's taken me a long time to let go of this not trusting myself so that I could become clearer and clearer. Now, of course, I still have my doubts, as a human does. Once in a while, I scratch my head and I go, this is crazy. I feel that's just me checking myself because I also don't want to be delusional. Okay? But from the perspective of holding me back, the whole idea of not trusting myself was preventing me from experiencing life to the fullest. So that's kind of what I'm talking about with you. It's very profound. I would love to invite you to see yourself as being healed already. Imagine there is nothing to heal and you are healed. And then imagine what that's like. Imagine yourself being completely healed. Whether it's a physical condition, whether it's emotional, mental, whatever it is, situational, imagine yourself or your situation being fully healed and notice what that feels like. That's where you're going. Okay. So am I saying that there's nothing to heal? In actuality, from a higher perspective, there's nothing to heal, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Okay. So in this context, yes, you have some things to heal, but at the end of the day, there's nothing to heal. I'm going to leave you with that just to mess with your brain a little bit. So that's what I have for you, pile number 2. Hello, pile 3. Let's see what we have for you. I am actually a little bit excited about this particular pile. For one, it has more cards, but it just feels like a very interesting flow of information. So when I was shuffling the cards and asking how your perspectives are changing, what I received was an image that told me that you are exposing, or something is being exposed to you as a result of something breaking. It's as if you all of a sudden realize what makes things work. And you're coming to a very important conclusion in your life. And the conclusion is this: I don't know who I was until this moment. It's as if in that moment you're realizing who you really are by exposing something or something being exposed to you. This is going to flow to you through, in some way, I have no idea how you're going to experience it, but it's like you get downloaded with the flow of information as a result of something breaking. I want to specify, though, that the breaking was not something that I considered as bad. It just was shown as a metaphor. Okay, imagine you have a crystal ball and accidentally one day you dropped it and you realize, oh my God, there is a diamond in there. I never knew. And now you're realizing that unless this crystal ball broke, you wouldn't see what's inside. And what's inside is extraordinarily valuable. And you can do a lot with it. You can even dispose of it if you want, but there is not a chance. Because the moment you find something valuable, you want to keep it. So this is going to potentially change the rest of your life. I want to say that's how big it is, but it comes in small packages. Okay, so there's a very nebulous message. I also felt, or actually was told, that you are going through a pattern breaking. And they said, you're likely to have a more philosophical approach going forward. And I thought, that's interesting. What is a philosophical approach? And I looked it up. But basically, and I would encourage you to look it up. But basically, what was shown to me is that a philosophical approach sees things bigger. That's the best way that I can say it to you in English. So we could say that you are letting go of patterns that made you see things a certain way, small, in favor of realizing that what you are used to seeing is not really the truth. It's what you believe truth is. And then you realize there is something much more beyond that truth as well. So you are tapping to some very interesting energies, and these energies are shown to me as bigger, wider, more expanded. Thank you. You are in a process of your own expansion. And sometimes something has to break in order to trigger one's expansion. So I feel that if you are drawn to pile number 3, you're going to find yourself being in a very speedy growth period, which also is shown to me as a challenge. So if you've been going through a lot of challenges, it's because you are speeding forward towards your destination. Destination isn't a geographical area, it's a state of being. And you are speeding towards it, like you're moving really fast towards that space. And we can go slow and have challenges because it is because of challenges that we realize who we really are. Okay, so we can go this way or we can go this way. This way is long, this way is steep, but it's relatively quicker. You are choosing to take the quicker route. I'm sorry. It's not funny. It's not funny. I do it all the time. Okay, guys, give it to me. And then it's like, oh, okay, maybe that's a little bit too much. And I feel you're in that category. Okay. In other words, the universe said, hey, you're going to go through a headache. For some of you, it's a financial headache. And you can have this headache for a day or two, and it's really bad. Or you can prolong it for 4 months and make it be milder, but it's going to take longer. You're likely saying to yourself, I'll take the 1 day, please, or the 2 days versus 4 months. I want to get it over with. So the universe understood this as you are ready to meet your challenge. So the universe is gently, sometimes not so gently, pressing challenges in front of you. Always remember that challenge is an opportunity to grow, Challenge is an opportunity for you to know yourself. And one of the very reasons why you are here on earth is to know yourself. That's what you're here for. So you're realizing a whole bunch of things right now in the next 3 months. I'm actually recording this day before full moon. So this is representing endings and new beginnings. They said you're in a process of convergence. Again, I had to look up the word because my team often gives me words that mess with my head, that tells me that I'm not thinking it up. So I have to look it up. But when I said, okay, show me what convergence is basically things coming together, right? So we could say that on a personal level, you are choosing to no longer be a part of yourself, or be apart from yourself. You are no longer choosing to be at odds with you. Okay? And what's on the opposite side of at odds is acceptance. So pile number 3, you are choosing to accept certain things you either didn't know how to accept, didn't think there was anything to accept, or things in the past you wanted to get rid of. Example, let's say you have an angry part to you. We all do. And you blame yourself for being angry. Well, rather than blaming yourself for being angry, why don't you understand why you're angry? What's the problem? Anger usually covers another feeling. So be mindful that over the next, well, it says few years, but this is like moving forward. You are going to be looking at aspects of yourself, realizing that you have kept yourself away from you. You have denied aspects of you. You have vilified some aspects of you. You have disowned some aspects of you, all because of one thing: pain. And we could say fear is also pain. When we're in fear, that's a lot of pain, right? Doesn't have to be a physical pain, of course. So you are beginning to realize some pretty important things about yourself right now. Also, some of you are coming to the realization of what your quote-unquote purpose is. For some of you, the purpose isn't changing with regards to what you're doing right now. The how you express your purpose is about to change for some of you. Okay. So if you were a painter, for example, and you used to paint walls, perhaps now you're moving to a business of interior design because you're really good with colors. That's just an example. So it's still the same thing, just expressed in a different way. Okay. If you are quote unquote a healer and you practice your healing a certain way, going forward, you might find that you're wanting to practice healing in different ways, or there's other ways presenting themselves to you in terms of your healing abilities. Okay, so it's change, but it's not deviation from you being a healer. Does that make sense? Okay, why is this important for me to say? Sometimes when something is presented to us, we want to have that, but we also want the thing from the past that we are holding on to. And that's because, in other words, we want to have what we want in the future, but we're also not allowing ourselves to let go of the past. If we hold on to the past and past dictates how we do things, if we're stuck there, we're not going to be able to have this other future. In other words, in order for you to experience a new future, a different future, you have to let go of your ideas of what future is supposed to be. Because it's not supposed to be anything. Your future is your design, for the most part. So you're at the place right now where you are seeing yourself as the designer of your life. And I'm going, that's a beautiful metaphor. You design your life every single day. You just don't know that you do. Practically speaking, you are thinking your life into experience, because thought produces experiences. And you are realizing that this is how powerful you are. And even though you've known it, you've been exposed to it for a while, this is more of an embodied feeling. It's like, oh my God, I know this. It's a knowing. And that changes your life, because when you have that realization, it's very difficult to go back, because the realization simply means that you are open to much more than what you have been able to perceive before. Now, the tendency is always to expand, not to resist. So you always want to move towards greater expansion. Having this realization is a greater expansion, is you expanding your self-awareness. You're expanding your consciousness, your human consciousness, and you're tapping into higher consciousnesses. That is, I want to say, that is a gift that comes in a big box. So some of you may be experiencing big surprises over the next little while. And because they're surprises, you don't know you're getting it, and you don't know what you're getting. Okay? I want to say to you, pile number 3, be prepared for big surprises, particularly over the next 3 years. So whenever you're starting to hear it, over the next 3 years. They're showing to me that many of you are it's like you're halfway through a cycle. And last year was devoted on planting seeds, or years prior was devoted for planting seeds. And now moving forward, these seeds are going to yield result based on how you've applied yourself. Okay? So the greater effort you have put into your self-awareness, the greater experience you're going to have. Does that make any sense? Now, I want to say something very clearly. You cannot force expansion. Expansion happens. You can resist it. Can you speed it up? Can you speed up expansion? I'm hearing yes and no. So, yes, you can speed up your expansion by making yourself as balanced as you can. Why? Because when we are in a balanced state, the frequency upgrade isn't as uncomfortable. So that's how we can speed things up. On the other hand, does that mean that we have to heal in order to have an expansion? Absolutely not. In fact, expansion is very healing. But, so, can we control it? Can we speed it up? Yes and no. So, yes was you preparing your body, doing the healing. No is when you're ready, you're ready. So then my logic goes, well, what's the point of doing all that preparation if it makes no difference? And they're saying, it does make a difference. You're just not able to see how. And I feel like my brain is not able to grasp that information. So the answer is yes and no. But you can't force it. There's nothing to be forced. Again, when you're ready, you're ready. Saying, I want to be enlightened. That's very much your ego talking. Because ego needs to be enlightened because it has some kind of an attachment to what that means. Expansion is literally about less attachments. So you are pile number 3, detaching yourself. Particularly in this lifetime. So you are used to a lot of attachments. Now we humans have attachments, and they're necessary attachments, and we have positive attachments and we have negative attachments. We want to hang on to the positive attachments because it helps us feel safe and secure. That's good. We don't want no attachment whatsoever. We want healthy boundaries. Okay? If you attach yourself to the idea that you are not worthy, and you believe that you are not worthy, though it's an idea, it's not truth, then you're going to believe yourself to be not worthy. On the other hand, when you realize the not worthiness is just a part of you, an expression, but you are more than that, changes the picture, right? So huge growth potential for you guys. I feel like you're halfway through some sort of a cycle. Okay. What are you likely to change in terms of perspectives? What do we have? Look at this. Coming full circle. So that's a confirmation. Thank you for what I was just saying a moment ago. You are coming to end of a cycle. Even though I said you're halfway through, over the next 3 years, you'll be completing that cycle. Okay, so it's quite near. Okay, This is a good thing. Why? Well, when we end cycles, it gives us an opportunity to start fresh, to start doing things differently. When we are at the end of a cycle, we often have the opportunity to magnify what no longer works. Okay? If we don't know what no longer works, we are likely to repeat that experience again. You are focusing on what no longer works, except you're not focusing. You are recognizing what you no longer want, and you are choosing it to something you want instead. Okay? Including behaviors and thinking patterns. And that's a big job, because it doesn't just happen overnight. It's not that you can force it. It comes when it comes, but you are in that trajectory right now. Okay? Common ground. The words that keep coming to me is be at peace with yourself, be at peace with yourself, be at peace with yourself. When you are at peace with yourself, you are more at peace with your neighbor. Interesting. Okay. What this is also showing me is that common ground to me speaks commonality. It's coming together and realizing that we have something in common. In fact, the thing that binds us all together is the fact that we come from one space. It's undeniable, okay, if you believe that. Okay? So we are looking to see ourselves as unique rather than different. Because different is separating. Unique is appreciation for something that is unique. It's a different vibration. First and foremost, you are recognizing that within yourself. Remember the anger I was talking about? Some of you may have maybe attached to some anger from the past. If there is anger, it needs to be dealt with. It needs to be understood why there is anger, so that you can heal the part of you that feels angry. Because you don't want to feel that. I mean, once in a while, it's helpful. It actually can give you a kick in the butt. But if it's prolonged, that it's very, I want to say damaging to the etheric body. It weighs you down. You don't want to be weighed down. So some of you might have some anger. I want to say anger issues, but I'm not saying that you're an angry person. But you may notice that you blow up quite quickly and you get angry very quickly. And it's like, what's that about? You get triggered with anger. And again, there's nothing bad nor good. There's zero judgment here. It's just a recognition. Why? Because you can detach yourself from whatever that is right now. You may no longer keep feeling this, whatever that is inside, because at the end of the day, it lowers your vibration, doesn't make you feel good, period. Keep some anger, yes, but if you're constantly being triggered, particularly lately, there's some stuff that you might want to look at, and a lot of it has to do with control. Okay. Now, I feel like I could get more into it, but I feel that would be like an audiobook. Regeneration. So this is new life. Okay. Okay, some of you want copious amounts of money. Not a word I would ever use, but okay, let's go for it. So some of you want copious amounts of money. I think most people do. Maybe they just don't want copious. I don't know. Some of you want a lot of money. The kind of money that you win a lottery on a good day. But your entire belief system says, no way. So we have a little problem here. The problem is this. What you want and what you believe about it are two different things. Okay? What you want is money because it represents, for one, security. Okay? What you believe is that there is no security because you've never experienced security growing up. To you, life is not secure. If you're conditioned to believe that money gives you security, which we are conditioned to do that, and your idea of security is that there isn't one, you're not gonna bring it to you, period. Because money actually speaks to you in terms of lack. Okay, that's very common. live in, lack consciousness. But your lack belief is keeping you from what you want, your particular one. So if you have a belief, if you have a desire to create a lot more money, more power to you. You have to look at your underlying system around your worthiness, ideas of control. Perhaps you believe money controls people. No, money doesn't control people. It's people who control money, or it's people who control other people. Okay. Some say power controls people. It can, but it can also empower. So it's all dependent on how it's used. You, pile number 3, have some critters in your mind that say money is bad, money is bad, money is bad. No, money is not bad. People can go crazy around the idea of money because it represents power to them. So yes, some people want a lot of money because they believe it's going to make them feel powerful. You can have the most money in the world and be the most miserable person both at the same time. So we all have these contradicting belief systems. Yours seems to be around money. And they're asking me to say, whoever you are, that it's important for you to either write poetry or start writing poetry or singing. It's very poetic. I don't know who you are. If this makes sense to you, just note it down below. I just saw 22. So it's a message of confirmation. All right. Where was I? I totally forgot where I was. In any case, if you have some conflicting beliefs about what you are wanting or desiring, this is a perfect time for you to look at, because you are in a position very shortly to realize it. Okay, so if you in fact want lots of money, make sure that your body doesn't resist to whatever number you have, because the moment your body resists, and you'll feel it, your body's saying no, that's not for me. So you have to work with your belief system, which is, your body will tell you what that is. Protection. Interesting, because I was talking a moment ago about security. Okay, what this is saying to me about you is this: even though you're going through a period where you don't know where you stand and everything feels up in the air, you are being safe. You are safe and you are protected. You may not feel safe because you're not grabbing onto anything, but remember, ascension is about detachment. So you are in essence detaching. In your human life, you are detaching. Okay, whether you're detaching from ideas, from things that no longer work for you, your own identity, you are detaching, and that's going to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, some call it ego death. Okay, so probably you are going through some sort of ego death right about now. Again, you may not feel safe, but you are safe. Now, that does not tell you to go in front of a bus when it's driving really fast, pretending you're not going to get hit. No, that's stupid. Don't do that. Okay. What we're saying here is that everything is okay. You are going through a process of massive shift, and things may feel like everything is up in the air, but that's because things need to go up in the air in order to land in a different format, in a different way. Okay. It's like, here's the image. A wind comes in and blows everything. And you're like, oh my God, what a mess. So as you pick up the pieces, as you start putting things back where they were before the wind came, you're realizing, oh, I didn't know this was there. Oh my God, look at this. I didn't know this was there. Oh, I forgot about this. And then you decide to toss some things. So you make things lighter. So sometimes the wind acts as a catalyst for something really beautiful. But I am pretty much guaranteeing you that if there was a huge storm blowing, you wouldn't be standing on the street, not supported by anything, and saying, I'm good. Yeah, wind feels pretty strong. So you'll likely feel these strong cosmic winds, as if you will. And these winds are These wins are designed to push you forward. Okay? Determination. Some of you feel like you want to give up on something. Never give up on anything unless you know with absolute, with everything that you've got, that it will never happen. Even then have hope. Why? Because giving up gives you reason not to try. So some of you might be giving up on some sort of an idea, some sort of something, because you're either tired of trying or you believe that you've tried so many times it's just not going to work. What I'm going to say to you is this. If there was something in your life that you really wanted, but until this point it's like, ain't happening. The moment you drop your attachment to it, it comes right to you. Okay. It's interesting how this works. You know the saying that, if you're looking for love, you can never find it, but the moment you stop looking, it finds you. It's that kind of a thing. Because you're detached. You have detached. So what I will say to you, don't give up hope just yet, because you might surprise yourself. Maybe some of you are saying, I'm never going to get married, as an example. I'm never going to have kids. Now, if you're 85, yes, accept the fact that you're never going to have kids if you're a female, okay, of your own, biologically, okay? That's a sure no. But anything other than that, we don't really know. So just because today's raining does not mean tomorrow is going to rain, right? But if you're looking outside and you're going, oh my God, it's raining, and you get all depressed because it's raining, I'm like, no, wait a second, that's just momentary. After the rain comes sunshine. So you might be experiencing a lot of rainy weather in your life, and that's not just physically, but maybe kind of blue. What's going on, just emotionally. Ugh. Don't give up hope, because there's something in the horizon that you can't see it that is very different than where you're at right now. Here's how it's shown to me. Where you are right now feels gray to me. There's not a lot of color. There's not a lot of oomph. It's just kind of, what I see in front of you is clarity and color. Like everything comes alive. But you're still in this meh. It doesn't mean you're not a happy person. It just means that you're just kind of meh right now. That's where you are. There's something that needs to take place for you to take ownership of who you are and how you feel about yourself. The moment you take the ownership upon yourself is the moment where you set yourself free. Okay? I feel what they're saying is this is about realizing how your actions create your experience. Your actions come from inner knowing. In other words, you act out what you know. Is that right? And what you know is attached to a belief system. So perhaps you're giving up on something that you don't even know you're blocking yourself from. And I feel like that's what's going to come up for you over the next little while. Maybe that's the thing that's being exposed as a result of something breaking, okay? Pile number 3, this is a big opportunity for you to grow big. And very fast for some of you, fast movement, which means it might feel a little bit uncomfortable. So you can tell your guides, hey, slow it down. But if you're experiencing a lot of growth very quickly, then chances are you're the one who said, hey, go big or go home. And that's where you're at right now, okay? I don't think I would change to slower and prolonged. I just want to get it over with, quotation marks. But of course, when I'm in it, it's like, okay, I think I've asked a little bit for too much. All right, but I'm still here. I'm still alive and talking to you about it. All right, so that was a longer one, pile number 3. I hope this was helpful. Whoever you are, I would love for you to click the like button if you like it, comment, let me know how these messages connect with you, or if at all, because I have no idea. I'm hoping this is going to make sense to you at some point. Remember that you can choose more than one pile. One may draw more attention to you than the other. So this is also a good exercise of tuning in and allowing yourself to feel being drawn in any particular direction. That's often how I will make decisions. I have to go inside. It's not going to be in my head, although it's supporting. I have to go into my body to feel it out, because energetically my body will be drawn to a certain scenario over other. But for that, this has to be still. So you probably have some choices and decisions to make, and make sure that you contemplate the reasons for why you want to make a certain choice, because sometimes we make decisions and choices that are not right for us, but we haven't spent enough time to ask ourselves, what is right for me? Is this right for me? Is this still right for me? Maybe that's something that was right for you yesterday. It may not be right for you today. You can change your mind anytime. Okay. So that's what I have. I look forward to seeing you again. Take care, and see you soon. Bye-bye.